Okay. Meeting for August 16, 2000.
Please stand and join us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, bless this assemblage. Grant us the wisdom to make our every decision fair-minded and in the best interest for all its residents. I also kindly ask everyone to please remain standing for just a moment to keep two very special people to the town of Rye in their prayers who passed away. Joseph Catalano, and also from the town of Harrison, Joe Acasella. Thank you. Okay, welcome to the Town of Rye Town Board meeting for August 16th, 2011. First on the agenda, we have the approval of minutes. Meeting held July 19th, 2011. Are there any questions on the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second? I will second.
Bob, you're going to have to step up.
Motion approved. Please call the roll, Hope.
Del Clark, Mendocino,
Aye.
Nyros,
Aye.
Villanova,
Yes.
Garvin.
Point of order, this recording is not working properly.
There we go.
Should stop it.
There we go.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so departmental reports, town clerk.
Right, for town clerk's report for the month of July 2011. Total local shares remitted were $2,066.05. Last year, $1,692.51. Tax collections for July 2011. Deposited to the supervisor of the town of Rye, $301,983.05. Deposited to the treasurer of the village of Portchester, $1,364,323.49. Deposited to the treasurer of the village of Rybrook, $1,748,784.63, which is a total of $3,415,091.17. Crawford Park, Mr. Bishop.
Okay, I just passed out your report there. You'll see that the revenue is down to the tune of, I'm going to say $17,000. We are seeing some pushback in terms of the paying events, but a substantial amount of that revenue is due to the loss of the Sunday night, which we altered in our policy. We eliminated the Sunday night parties. Those were extremely popular, and obviously we're seeing some of the fallback from that.
Mr. Wanek, one quick thing, and it was really just sitting in on the Rye Town Park Commission meeting tonight that's making me think of this. Obviously, with less revenue comes less expense.
Not really. I mean, there is some less expense because we would have a little less seasonal expense.
Right.
In terms of people attending to the parties and so forth, but it's nominal. The majority of our staff and majority of our expense at Crawford Park is full-time.
Is built in, okay.
And also, just as a side note, we are in the final throes of executing the contract for the architectural services for the stairs. We're just now going to wait the supervisor's signature, and we're finished and ready to go. We expect the architect will be going up perhaps this week, more likely next week, beginning to survey and beginning the engineering studies to lay out the plans.
Very good. Comments from the public? Anyone from the public? Anyone at all? Very good. Presentation, Model American Community. Mr. Arcaro?
Good evening. Just a few comments about the Model American Community Project, both in terms of being helpful to explain where we are and where we're going, and as some context for the next item on the agenda, the Tobin Project, which is, I think, can be clearly seen as part of the Model American Community Project. What you have in front of you is a couple of documents that I think illustrate some of the important points of the Model American Community Project. The first is the pamphlet that gives a little highlights that this is not the only community in America looking to see how we can be better by reaching out with a community conversation. And so you'll see a little pamphlet there describing the Model American Community Project with some drawing on some of the experience from Austin, Texas, from Norwalk, Connecticut, and Burlington, Vermont. Progressive communities, I think like we are here in the town of Rye, doing a dual activity. One is reaching out to the community, and I think you'll see in your packet also a list of the 65 community organizations and the 32 houses of worship that we're currently reaching out to talk about how they feel their particular organization can be improved, can be strengthened, and how they might see things in the town in the future. And I think you'll also see some statistics, so that as the project unfolds, it's a community conversation, but it's also informed by statistics. And in your packet, I think we're blessed somewhat by starting this project where we have information from the census. So whereas the 2010 census was a very short census, it really gave a very, very small snapshot, the Census Bureau has gone ahead and surveyed, not 100% like the census, but surveyed residents in all the communities, including the town of Rye. And over a 3-year span, they produced reports called the Community Survey. And the ones from 2005 to 2009, they have shared with us some information that is statistical in nature. So in addition to reaching out to community organizations and residents and the businesses in the community, I think it's also helpful to add to that mix some statistics. So I just point out 3 findings from the census side of what makes a Model American Community. And I draw your attention to the first page, towards the bottom there. They talk about nativity and language. And they speak about 45% speak a language other than English at home here in the town of Rye. But I think a statistic that challenges us here is, if you notice the last clause in that paragraph, 52% reported that they did not speak English very well. I think a real challenge for us here in the town to reach out to that community that's going to need some help to mainstream, in employment, in education, in all forms of life. If we turn the page on that analysis from the census, we'll see up at the top they talk about education. 80% of people 25 years of age and over had at least graduated from high school, and 34% have bachelor's degrees. Again, giving us a bit of a picture of our community. Then the next sentence goes on, 20% are dropouts. Again, a sense of the kinds of challenges facing our community, both from the government side, from the business side, from the house of worship side. And then finally, if we look at the next page, you'll see a section there called Poverty and Participation in Government Programs. Again, this is statistical information, I think, that we mix together with the perceptions of those in the community organizations and the business community. And in there it says, from the survey through 2005 to 9% of people in the town of Rye were in poverty. Now, if we have roughly, as the census tells us, about 43,000 people, so if it's 10%, that's about 4,000 people in poverty in the town of Rye. Those of you who might have been involved with the Habitat for Humanity, you might often hear Jim Kaloran speak about, in our county, no one should sleep at night without a roof over their head. I think some of these statistics, again, from the census, we will mix with the reports from the organizations in our community about things that they think will be helpful to make our community better. And so that's all part of the American Community Project. And in a moment, I think we're going to hear about one of the projects also that I think is important, which is the Tools for Change. I think we've also called it the Tobin Project. We think we've also called it the Democracy Project. And so if there are any questions, I'd be happy to speak about it. But again, just wanted to give you a little feel that we're both speaking with the community and trying to draw statistical information to help us get a handle on what should our future be like here in the town.
I think part of this also is, is the obligation of everybody. Once there are facts like this that are brought to light, and there is the opportunity that someone, at least one person, if not 1,000 people, have heard it, it becomes the responsibility then of the community to make it better. And so that's what I'm seeing here. There has to be a certain sense of responsibility now. We're understanding that there's an issue, and we have to assume that responsibility. So.
And I think you're going to hear in a few moments about a project that is really getting at the people who are affected by it, meaning, in this particular case, the students in our schools. Again, it's a wonderful project. But the issues we just highlighted, the poverty issue, the language issue, the education issue, are real ones facing our community that we don't often see, but are certainly statistically valid and important ones for us to work on as well.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arcaro. Okay, next on the agenda, we're going to introduce Deborah Reisner and to discuss the Tobin Project update, and ultimately that's also called now Tools for Change. Hello, Ms. Reisner.
Good evening. I'd like to start off by thanking the council for welcoming me to talk about this project that I have become involved with over the last 3 years, and I'm so very excited about. And I'm here tonight as one of the project leaders. I'm here tonight as the mother of a student who has participated in this project since its original pilot 2 years ago, and as the president of the League of Women Voters, which became a co-sponsor of this project in the last term, the last semester that we did the project, and are continuing as a co-sponsor in this coming year. Now, I know that there's information about this course in your packets, and I would be happy to be brief or answer questions if you've already read it, or I can tell you a little bit about the course. How would you like me to proceed?
I'd probably give us the bullet points, and obviously if we've been sitting here, if anybody's been sitting here over the past couple of years, we've seen 2 presentations now already with regards to this project and the work that Mr. Tobin has done in our communities. And the one thing that I think that's also important to point out to everybody is that this program and this initiative has been embraced by all of the school districts in the town of Rye. And this is really taken on a life of its own. So I think that's where we need to start. So please.
Thank you, Mr. Villanova. The course has evolved over the last 3 years. It's now called Tools for Change. And it is we've now found the words, and this is a problem-solving seminar. Yes, most of us are aware that there's a range of social problems that confront our communities, and they range from huge global issues like global warming and health and educational disparities, the financial crisis, corruption, but they also drill down into very local problems, traffic, and what kids do when they're entertaining each other, and many, many issues that are serious. But the question is, does people recognize these as issues that require civic engagement? Do we have any tools to solve them? The course is designed as a laboratory in which the kids will learn methods for solving real-world problems. And we will present to them a list of choices designed by the steering committee, which is comprised of the principals of all 3 schools, a representative from the town of Rye, a representative from Building Community Bridges, which is one of the co-sponsors, and from the League of Women Voters. All of the topics that the kids will be presented with will be relevant to a model American community. They will decide what it is that drives them, and they will use social science research methods in the same way that their peers in the lab sciences will be use their methodology to solve problems. This will be a lab for solving problems in our society. And the kids from all 3 school districts will be working together. That's one problem solved. And they will be working to address these issues. And they'll be doing it through statistical analysis, through qualitative analysis, through literature reviews, and really discussing and trying to get underneath and understand the root causes and how they might make policy recommendations to make change, real change. And part of what's so exciting about this is the empowerment that these kids are becoming civically engaged in an issue, and they're being shown college-level tools and society-level tools that social scientists use to address issues in our society and give them the means with which to fix their world.
Mr. Reisner, how many participants do we have now or anticipating for the upcoming session?
The school year hasn't started yet, so we don't have kids signed up. We've had indications from all 3 schools. We were at Portchester. I was at Portchester High School last spring, and there was probably 10 kids who signed up. They wanted information about the course. But registration is not final yet. That will be going on in September.
What do we have last year? Could I take a strange guess at 25, 30?
I would say, I would say not 30, but about 25.
About 25 participants.
Yes.
Yes.
Fairly evenly divided between the 3 schools.
And I could only anticipate that it's going to grow this year.
I expect that they will cut it off at 24, 25.
So that's good. That's the max for the participants.
I would expect so.
Okay.
Of course, Dr. Tobin would be the ultimate judge of that. He's receiving support from all 3 schools in various respects. There'll be smart classrooms that the schools are contributing. Rhinebeck is also providing a teacher. Dr. Valerie Feit, who is the enrichment coordinator for the Rhinebeck School District, will be team teaching. So if they feel that they can engage a larger group, then that's what they're going to do.
Right. Okay, so ultimately, part of this tonight, this presentation, and the component is, how we support this, and how the program is supported, both in kind services, and then also the expense. And just if you could give us an overview on that, please.
The budget this year is $16,000, of which we're asking the town of Rye, the town council, to approve half that sum, $8,000. The cost of this program is still extremely low for a full course. We're just a couple of hours short of a full college course. Dr. Tobin has been working pro bono for the last 2 years with only his expenses in flying back and forth paid. And he can't afford to do that anymore. This course is now becoming very real. It's becoming a model that can be really ramped up into something serious. This is one of the only national courses in the nation that is approaching problem solving from this direction. What else can I tell you? Should I walk you through the expenses?
No, I think the expenses for the most part are self-explanatory unless there's questions from the council.
Well, is it different from what we have here on our budget? Because that doesn't, it's a little bit more than we have as the total expenses.
Yeah, ultimately, what we're showing, Mrs. Reisner, is 7654. So, I mean, I think you just...
Oh, I see.
I think you just, for discussion purposes, you rounded it up to the 8,000.
That's correct.
Right, okay.
And do they get credits for taking the course?
Each school district is going to handle that issue given their own, systems. Rhinebeck absolutely does give credit. Portchester, I believe, will be giving credit, but I think that there are many other incentives as well in terms of engaging with Dr. Tobin, in terms of developing, and building on college readiness.
One student mentioned to me that this was actually it's part of their application to college. So this is also a great stepping stone for them as well.
One of the things that research has shown is that people who can work in diverse groups are increasingly valuable in the 21st. They call it 21st century learning. These are really valuable skills. So it wouldn't surprise me that a student would use.
Do they have to be a senior to be in this course?
In fact, no. The last several years, there have been sophomores, juniors, and seniors in the course. At this stage, the course is going to focus in on sophomores and truly able freshmen. That said, so the majority of the students will be sophomores, with some freshmen. However, alumni, kids who did this last year or the year before are welcome, and we plan that there will be several back.
Now, is this a project-based course, so they look at solving a particular issue or problem, or is it mainly a teaching type course to teach them skills and how to solve certain problems?
The answer is kind of both.
Okay. And then at the end of the course, do they deliver a paper or?
At the end of the course, the class presents its findings to the Wright Town Council.
Remember the kids that came here and they presented to us? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what
They produce a written report and a PowerPoint presentation.
Wonderful.
And each one of them comes up and they present their take on it, and that's really and each child that came up was very enthusiastic about their part.
Wonderful.
And the one thing that I like about this is that school budgets come and go, and they go up usually, and it's hard to put your finger on it where that value is. This is a minimal investment, but you know that this money, this investment in both financial and in-kind services is going to children, and it's going to make a difference. And that's a value that that's tangible, and they're using now, and they're going to use in their future. And I think that's really important as well. We can see where this money is going. There's a deliverable at the end of the project. We have qualified and competent people that are administering the project as well. So I don't want to say skeptical, but I when I first saw this whole thing, I watched it with an open mind, but you can see how it's grown, and really you can get behind it. And if anybody has any questions from the public, feel free to reach out to the town of Rye, and we'll be able to give you some information on it. Mr. Thomas?
Yes, I just want to...
Please come up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie.
I'm Dave Thomas, President of BCB, 420 Elm Street, Portchester, New York. BCB has put up the additional $8,000 for this year, and we split the cost with the town of Rye. It is extremely worthwhile. These students, and I want to concentrate on them, what I've seen from them, we've had 3 kids repeat, and they have shown real interest in the political process and the town of Rye and what is happening here. And you cannot buy that. That is something that cannot be quantified. These kids show interest. They are constantly asking questions now, and the growth in them is really palpable. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their questions. So what we're trying to do is actually build for the future. We want students to come back to the town of Rye, participate in their government, participate in their community, and make a difference. And this program does it. I have no doubt in my mind that at least 3 of these students will come back to the town of Rye and participate and maybe take one of your spots, or maybe mine. And that's what we really want. We want our young people to participate, to come out and really assist in making this a model American community. So I humbly ask you to approve the funds for the next year's Tools for Change project. And as also one of the instructors, I only teach a very small part, the software part, and we have 3 of us that do it for no money. We do it as volunteers, and we do it for the pleasure of it. And it really is a pleasure. And I hope that we can find more people to do it as well. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Any questions from the board?
The Building Community Bridges Project, what is that, a not-for-profit corporation?
Mr. Thomas?
I'm sorry.
Well, we're just an organization. It's really just a club that was started by Blanca Lopez and Supervisor Carbon. I became president probably a year in. And basically our goal is to promote communication in Portchester and between communities. So when we heard about Professor Tobin's work, we said, this is great. We have 3 school districts. We have 3 separate communities in the town of Rye. And they really don't mesh except for maybe yourselves and a few other organizations. But the schools, they don't get together. All they do is compete. So here's a chance for them to actually sit together and work on something worthwhile.
So it's basically a club. So then how do you accept the monies? Do you have...
Well, they're all through private donations.
But doesn't it have to... you maybe
we are a not-for-profit.
It is a not-for-profit, so it's like a 401(c)(3).
A 501(c)(3). We are partnered with One World. We're a sister organization of One World United in Virtuous. Yes.
Okay.
You know, one thing that, and I'll just give you my quick thing. I attended, and Dave's been there. I attended a handful of the BCB meetings, and Dave is spot on. When you would never probably hang out or spend quality time with someone that's in that meeting. Not always, but when do your paths really come together unless you're focused on going to this meeting? And the one thing that I found enjoyable, one of the early meetings that I went to is, just to talk about your background, how you and your family came to the area, and things of that nature. So you get a better understanding of everybody, and it really is a diverse group. We try to make it, yes. It opened me up a little bit too, so it's very good. It's worthwhile. Anybody that has the time to reach out to BCB, you'll have a great opportunity to meet different people and understand that all of our stories, although different, there's a thread that kind of goes through and really pulls us all together.
Because he couldn't do it for free.
Thanks.
No more questions?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Thank you, Mrs. Reisner, and thank you, Mr. Thomas. That's our little bit of a primer for going into our communications and resolutions. So Resolution A, which